Hello, this is Lakshay. Welcome back to Coding Casually, and today's topic is how do you make an API using Flask? So Flask is a microservice which is available for Python, through which you can develop web applications. Most of the people use Django, and the other people use Flask. There's a good community, and there has always been a debate about what exactly should we use when it comes to web development. And I tell you, Flask is very easy to develop. And as I told you, that today's topic is more related to how you actually create an API using Flask. For this, what we will do is we will use a web page that I've already developed. I never wanted to develop this web page in this video while we are trying to explain the topic, or while we are on the topic, just because it takes a lot of time. Not a lot of time, but it takes time, so I don't want this video to be too long for the viewer. It's more related to how you actually make a Flask API. So I'm just giving you a heads up on how this API will be built. Of course, that we would be building while we are in this video only. However, I would like to show you how the HTML code and the JavaScript code and the CSS looks for the API. We have a web application. Right now it's not an application, it's a web page, through which what we will do is we will try to put name, age and the person's GPA into a database. So imagine you are on a website and it asks for you a sign up or your details page. You fill up that detail page, you press submit, and hence your ID gets created or your details get saved in someone else's or the website's owner's database. You can right now what would we are looking at a post part of the web API through which we would post this data to the web API and the data will get saved. Before I move on to how the web API looks like, I'm just going to give you how this web page was created. So this is the normal agenda. This is the normal thing that you write for the HTML5, and this is how I'm connecting to Bootstrap. Bootstrap is basically for it can be used to create grid-based model which is responsive in nature. It actually helps you in arranging stuff, and that is why I've used Bootstrap, though it's not a fancy web page that we might develop for someone else, but this is for the example. I believe this would solve the purpose. And through this we are connecting to the JS, and through this we are connected to the CSS of the Bootstrap, which is hosted on a CDN. And this is the script of through which we would pass on the data, which is filled in those three fields. So before moving on to the script, I'll show you this is how we develop that form. The form has labels, the form has input boxes. Every input box has a ID number so that we can pull the data from it. This is a button through which we are calling this script. So what it does is it just to check whether it is working or not. We can write anything in console log. I like to write print just to check whether the button got pressed or not. And this is the path of the Flask server that we would be making. Generally it's localhost, or this is the number that you get. Through this we were able to get the input of these three input boxes, and then we declare an XHR through which we are sending the data into a JSON format. And the JSON format looks like name equals to this, age equals to this, and GPA equals to this. Again, I'm just checking what data went, and then we are sending this. This is a very basic web API. This is a very basic script of sending the data. There is no authentication, authorization. We are not even checking whether the data has been filled or not. Just for this purpose of how the Flask API can be produced, I've just made this web application. So in order to make the API, you can go into VS Code or any other IDE that you would like to work on. I like to use Visual Studio Code. So I have opened it. There's a file called API already. It's a blank file. You can create any of the files that you want. And while you're on this, I would also like to tell you that there is a database that I've already created using SQLite, and this is DB browser, and this is the location of that file where the database exists. And we are this is the database structure. It only has 3 columns: name, age and GPA. We would be saving this API file, or it is already saved in that where the DB also exists. DB is the database in which we will be putting the data in. So in order to make the web API, we'll write from Flask or from Flask import Flask and then we'll import request. Request is basically, we would use request in order to get the data which has been sent to us through post method, right? And then we'll import from Flask course, import course is basically when we are transferring data from one web page to another. If we don't have proper guidelines in place, we would need course for it. And then we'll import OS in order to get the location of the file that we are working on, and then we'll import SQLite 3. This is very important, through which we would pushing data into the database. Now we'll write app equals to Flask, and then we'll write underscore name underscore. This is how we create the app, the Flask app. And in order to display the course, we will write CORS, and what we have created app, which is basically a reference to this one. This is how we would create one. And then at the end, if you go if underscore name equals to underscore main underscore, and hence what we'll do, it'll run the app. We will write app.run. This is how you create a web application using Flask. If I run it, it doesn't have anything in it, so that is why you would not see much happening. But this is how it's the moment you write this and run it, you'll see that the server is on, but the server is useless for us. It doesn't do anything. So we have to create some methods. We will create a route, app.route, and that route would be where we want the data to go. So for us, we can write punch details, and then the moment we have written punch details, we have to write the methods. Methods would be post. We are not reading anything, so we would only write post here, and then we will press enter, and we will come down and we'll write another method. So we can write punch my details, and then you have to write what you want to write here. So what our goal is to get the data from the web page and save it in the SQLite database. Instead of SQLite database, it could be anything. It could be MongoDB as well, and just for the purpose of how easy it is to make an API, and I wanted especially for the beginner who is using this Flask and everything. So for him or for that user, we would be pushing data in a SQLite database, which is there on my system only. This is not how you would do it on production environment. That is a different case altogether. We put many things so that our data is secure, but for the purpose of learning how you create it, we create a function here, and then we'll write details equals to request, and then get JSON data. This is how we will get the JSON data, which will be thrown at this URL, which is punch details. And then what we'll do, we will write this place equals to os dot path dot their name, and then we will go in, we'll write os dot path, and then we'll write real path, and then underscore file underscore, and this is how we get to know where the data is, or basically this very file is. And then we'll write SQL, or we can write connection, and where we want the connection to happen, we can write this place plus, and the name of the database is new DB. And now we have a connection. And how do we connect? We can write SQLite 3.connect. This is the place we want the database to connect to, and this is how you connect. We have forgotten a bracket here. And now we have to write a cursor. We can write cursor equals to connection dot cursor. Now we have a cursor. Cursor is the thing through which you would be selecting the data, or reviewing the data, or even pushing the data into. So now we have a cursor along with us. Now we have to write the insert query. We'll write cursor dot execute, and then we'll write insert into total data, and then we'll write values. Okay, and then we'll open up the bracket, we'll close the bracket, and then this is how insert query will be written. So in order to fill in the data, we'll write this this will be in a string format, this will be in integer format, so we don't have to worry about it. We can write here AA, we can write BP and CC, and then we can write a format. Format will change AA in equals to this, we'll write BB equals to this, and we'll write C equals to this. And then we can copy this one and then paste it here, and paste it here. So this is basically because we are getting a JSON data, so we have to write the name of the field that we are getting and we want to push. So we can write details equals to this and this. So I know it is GPA, and here is the age, and here is the name, and this is how you will do. So now this is done, and then we have to close the execute as well. This is something that we have to fix. This is how the execute will look like, and now we have to make sure that data gets submitted, and we will commit the database. And every function has to return something, so we'll return data saved. And if I save this and I see that this is the same thing that which gets generated, I will run the API. The API will run, it will give me this server is on. I'll go back to this and I'll write coding casually, or even I'll write my name, I'll write the age, I'll write the GPA, I'll submit it, and I'll see whether the data is here or not, and I see the data is here. This is how you save, this is how you use the post method. If you know what is REST API, this is one of the basic API that you would create. It will push the data into the database. It is not necessary that the API has to do the pushing only, or the reading or deleting or updating. However, API is should be treated as a server, not a server in computer sense, a person who serves you thing. It's like a waiter. You give him something, it could be an order, it goes to the back end and gets the thing for you. It is not necessary that this is the only method that you would use. You can do many things using API. Most of the people use it for data munging as well. It could be anything, and totally depends upon how your web application is coming out to be, or what's the nature of your web application. This is how you create a basic API using Flask. If you think that I should create more videos on how to create complex APIs or the other parts of the API, not about pushing only and reading also, you can simply comment in and I will make sure that the video comes out to you. And if you think this was educational, you can please share this video with upcoming or new beginners who are getting into Flask or using web development. And if you think this video was worth even 2 or 3 minutes, please like the button, please press the like button, and please